All right, what's good, everybody? What is good? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend and was able to have fun with their family and friends during Valentine week or the day, rather. But what's good? We are now starting a new trade, so I want to make sure that we're starting it off correctly by identifying what the markets can give us for today. Obviously, leading into this week, we're going to be able to find a lot of opportunities. So I want to make sure that I'm answering any and all questions, really helping you guys out to the best of my abilities to help you guys progress and become more profitable in your own individual Forex trading. So hopefully we can get that started. So my man Mark already said, good morning, Jay. I finally locked in with y'all last night. Also got my prop firm, just waiting for the verification things to go through. Can't wait to start trading live. My mans, I appreciate that. Yeah, welcome to the team. I appreciate you being with us. Hopefully I'm able to give you as much profits as you could possibly get. If you have any questions at any time, you can ask myself, you can ask anybody in the Legacy group, whether it's myself or one of the students, they'll be able to help you extensively. So yeah, welcome to the actual team, bro. I appreciate you. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Again, hopefully everybody had a great weekend, was able to rest up, get or have fun with their family and friends and loved ones. I know personally, I didn't really do too much. I was just kind of game planning for this week and getting some things done so that way I can ensure some extra value to Legacy students. I have a few things that I'll be dropping for them so that way they can obviously take advantage, profit as much as possible in the Forex markets and really be able to, extend their learning curve as we trade. But yeah, what's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Again, just going to give it a couple more seconds, let everybody else join on. I have not looked at the charts since last week. Well, I'm lying in the sense of marking it up. I haven't marked anything up. So we're going to get a fresh take. We're going to be able to identify what the market will leave us for this week, see if there's any great trading opportunities for us to be placing, and obviously be able to profit from those. Because again, we're not just trading for fun, we're trading for profit. So want to make sure that I'm teaching, educating, really showing you guys how to, come about those great entries, those profitable finds. So if you guys have any questions, by all means, feel free to let me know. I am taking a look at the chat below. And if there's any specific markets that you would like for me to take a look at, let me know what market that is and why. Why do you want me to take a look at that market? What is it that you're trying to accomplish with it? Because the reason why I say give me a reason is because if you just say gold buy sell, like that, you're not going to learn anything from that. And I won't even answer that question because I want to make sure that I'm teaching, right? That you guys are actually getting value, that when you leave these sessions, that you're having more questions answered than leaving with more questions in general. So that's my biggest thing. My goal is to create 6 to 7 figure traders with my auto trader and signals. But if I can also help you guys become more sufficient and be able to make 6 to 7 figures trading, even through these, YouTube lives, why not? I'll be able to. I want to be able to do that, impact people's lives in a positive manner, and we go from there. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. If there's any specific markets you want me to take a look at, also feel free to let me know. Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, you guys can. All right. So, excuse me. Before we begin, we do have a U.S. holiday. I think it's U.S. and Canadian. Yeah. So we do have a bank holiday for the U.S. dollar and the Canadian dollar. So the activity and the volatility within these two markets might not be there, which is not a bad thing. It'll kind of give us a little bit more time to set up and find some great opportunities and really dictate where the market will be going. So we'll look at a few cross pairs between the U.S. dollar and the Canadian dollar, because since there's no volatility, or should not be that much volatility within those markets, they're going to be acting a little bit slower, and it's going to take them a little bit more time to develop. So we can actually see the moves, I think, a little bit more clearly, and I wouldn't say early, but it'll give us a strong idea of what the market will give us for the week on these markets. So I'm going to take a look at some U.S. cross pairs such as gold, Euro USD, USD JPY, things in that nature, so that way we can obviously identify the moves there. And obviously Canadian pairs such as CAD JPY, Euro CAD. Some of those markets are very volatile and make great moves, so we'll identify some great opportunities there as well. So I am going to take a look at some markets again for everybody who's just joining on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Again, if you have any questions, if there's any specific markets you guys would like for me to take a look at, feel free to let me know. I am taking a look at the chat below. It is important that I stay relevant on things that you guys actually need to learn. Again, I want to make sure that you guys are learning more than anything. All right, so what I'm going to do here is take a look at gold, wait to see if there's any questions, see if there's anything that you guys need from me in the chat. But I will take a look at gold to see what this market will be doing for the rest of this week. I wouldn't say the rest of this week. We still have to monitor, see how it develops day by day to really make sure that our analysis is correct. But we can get a strong idea of the next potential move, whether this is going to remain bearish or are we going to actually continue bullish. And I mean remain bearish from these highs to these lows, because overall, when we scale to the daily, we can see gold is actually very much in a bullish market, right? We can see if we go from these lows, and I'm on the daily time frame, I'm on a higher time frame. Just to explain, the reasoning being is because I'm using the higher time frames to ensure that I understand the true direction of the market. I want everybody to understand that. We are using the higher time frames on every market that you look at. When you are going to start looking at a chart, marking things up, you want to make sure that you're identifying it on the higher time frames. Why? because the higher the time frame, the stronger that confluence is, meaning that you can see how this is a level of strong structure. We're just going to put strong structure. Now, if you're wondering why I would consider that strong structure, is because we can see how the market was just in a very strong downtrend from this point till we got to this price level. And when we got to this price level, you can see that we actually created what's called a triple bottom. Very self-explanatory. It is a structure point that has been respected 3 times, and it has not broken market structure, meaning it did not create a lower low. It didn't break the price of these 2 previous points. We can see that as we had that triple bottom, you can see the market then eventually broke above and started creating higher highs and higher lows. That's a great thing to see, right? Because if we can start dictating, well, we know on the higher time frame, being on the daily, that this market is currently bullish or starting to turn bullish, we can see the market structure being broken and tested, and we can see how this market continue to push up much higher. The reason why that's important is because as a lot of individuals are thinking this is going to remain bearish, this is a strong reversal, this is only going to sell, we have to take a look at these higher time frames again to dictate where this market is and where it may be going. So what can we do to identify the true direction of what gold is going to be doing in the near future? If we actually go ahead, stay on the daily time frame, we're not going to switch it up. We need to now see if we are meeting an area of structure that can cause this to continue to be bullish, or if a level of structure or price has been broken to confirm that sellers are still in play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify the most simplistic concepts that I think a lot of people disregard, don't try to use, or I think it's just a detail that not a lot of people really pay attention to. If we look at this entire move, and I'm going to go from these lows to these highs. Actually, let me measure this because it might not even be what I think it is. Okay, yeah. So this would still be considered an entire impulsive move, meaning that from this point to these highs, there was little to no sells. Now, if you look at this, you're like, but Jay, they're selling candles. I understand that. But the overall census is that this market had only one move to the upside and no correction. Now, if you're wondering what I mean by that, is if we use a Fibonacci retracement tool, right? And then we start to go and we say that this market has then started to sell off and it only came back up to that 23.6 and it did not reach that 38.2, this correction, then this means that there is no correction, that this is still very much a part of an impulsive move. I'm gonna repeat that because I know a lot of people get confused. If you have an impulsive move and you start to see it correcting and it only reaches the 23.6 and does not reach that 38.2, this is not a correction. What that is simply still considered an impulsive move. So if we get something like this, it might look weird, but we have something like that and then it corrects, your actual measuring point is down to these lows because you need that 38.2 to be hit. So even if this looks like a correction, it is not. This is the true measurement. The reason why I'm speaking on that is because that's exactly what we have here on gold. What we have is we go from this swing low to where we think the correction is. We can see it never reached that 38.2. So this actually needs to be measured like that. So now we have that 38.2 being met. And where is that 38.2 being met at? If we look left to get right, we are at a level of structure. If you don't believe me, just look, right? You can see how this was a level of previous resistance and it is now a level of support. If we actually just try to make the zone more specific to the actual retest with this candle, the full wick as well, we can see that it did in fact come back to a level of what used to be resistance is now a level of support. What's good? Hello, everybody. Have a good time. You too. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you get some value. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But you can see that we do have now the respect with the 38.2, and we have now the respect and test of previous structure. If we look a little bit more left, you can see that a little bit more relevantly even here. So the reason why I'm doing this is because, again, on the higher time frame, you need to be able to identify the true sense of the market direction. We can see that this was a bearish move, but could this simply be considered the impulse and this being its correction. That's a great idea for us to take a look at, because if we can now see that this may be the corrective move, the 38.2, the level of structure, could be the barrier to prevent this correction from continuing lower, which means is we are now considered at a PRZ, potential reversal zone. Why is that important? Because the higher the time frame, the stronger that confluence, the stronger that idea becomes, right? Because the higher the time frame, the stronger that structure, that price, that trend line, that fib, that candlestick pattern, those variants become. Now, if you're doing this on the 1 minute time frame, obviously is not going to be as strong as what you would identify on the daily. So me being able to see that we are considered right now at a PRZ, we now need to identify the actions, right? Because this is called price action trading, where I'm identifying the most relevant level of price and the actions that proceed within there. Now, if you've been on any of my sessions before, you pretty much are hearing the same thing every day, but that's why repetition is key. That's where consistency comes through, and that's where profits come through as well. So if you hear this all the time, I apologize, but we're going to get to the point here in a second, because we are looking at a potential buy zone. So a PRZ, aka buy zone. Now, if you're also wondering, Jay, why are you always using the higher time frames? If you use the higher time frames, you're only going to get one trade a day, one trade a month. That's the theory, the misconception that a lot of traders have, is when you're using the higher time frames, such as the daily, weekly, and monthly, you're not placing as many trades, in which a lot of people think if you don't have a lot of trades, it doesn't equal to a lot of money. False. We can clearly see that if we are at a buy zone, right, we are at a PRZ zone, we now need to identify the actions, because the higher time frame will dictate obviously the overall direction. If I know that right now, well, I wouldn't say no, because the market will do whatever it wants. But if I'm doing analysis and I come to the conclusion that gold is going to continue to buy, especially based off the higher time frame, the daily, where's it going to buy to? Probably previous structure all the way up here. That will take a long, I wouldn't say a long time, but that's a pretty big move. When we scale down to a smaller time frame, we won't have to like ask ourselves, should we buy or are we selling? We know it's going to buy. So 50% of the work is now done, because we know that since we are at a buy zone, we're looking for more evidence for continued buyers. So what can we do? We identify the most relevant level of price. That's price. And then we identify the actions. What are the actions? The actions are the break of the structure being here. Another action is the test of that structure as well. So we have the action of the structure being tested. We have the action of the 38.2 also being in the mix. Now, if you haven't done this already, I suggest you guys go do this now. I'm not going to go deep into candlestick patterns, because that's the questions I'll get with that are crazy. But we'll do this. Google Forex candlestick cheat sheet and go to images and look at those candlesticks and look at the reversal patterns or the variants that they have, and tell me that this does not look familiar. That candle there. This is another form of action. We need to be able to identify these forms of actions at a specific level of price. Why? Because every time we identify those actions at a price point, that equals an entry or potential entry in the future, right? Obviously, we're not going to go ahead and start entering gold for buys at this moment. But if we can identify, we're at a buy zone, we're getting bullish variance or bullish actions being with our candlesticks, the respective structure, the respect of the 38.2. Now, I do not have a trend line that is valid at this point, but we can start gearing up for that third touch. So let's add a trend line. Like, I know a lot of people probably do this, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to add my trend line to the next most the most current higher low, right? Because this is a correction. Since this is correcting lower, we now have the fib, the structure, and not so much the trend line, because it's not confirmed yet. There's not a third touch. But in the future, let's say it does sound like this. Then we have a stronger idea. So I'm going to leave that trend line here for more educational purposes to see, so that way you guys can see what tools to use, how to use them, where to be using them as well. So Even though this trend line is not valid, we're going to leave it there. Actually, we'll take it off because we got to scale down to a smaller time frame. I don't want anybody getting confused. So we had that idea, right? We have structure, we have our fib, we have actions with our candlesticks. So what we need to do now is scale down to a smaller time frame and have those time frames also tell us the same thing, right? Because the daily is showing us a buy zone. We now need to go to the 4 hour and the other time frames to ensure that it's telling us the same thing. Right, we need to find some bullish notations from this point, more bullish actions at this price to identify continued buys, or if this is going to actually start buying in general. So I'm on the 4 hour time frame. You see how I went from the daily now to the 4 hour. Now, before we actually do that, I want everybody to take a look at the daily. And I want you guys to see why it's important that we use something called time frame confluence, meaning that each time frame has to be used and they have to tell us the same thing. Because the question I always get is, yo, Jay, what's the best time frame? What time frame should I enter off of? Should I use the 5 minute? No. Your entries are based off of your analysis, and this is exactly how you do it. So take a look at the daily time frame. I'm being more to be more specific. I'm talking about what's in this area there. Why? Because what you see on the daily, you're not going to see on the 4 hour. On the smaller time frames, it gets more detailed, right? The higher time frame should be used for overall ideas, the direction, the trend, reversal zones. The smaller time frame is where we're going to do your detailed work for what? Your entries, because I know that's what everybody wants, right? So if we can identify the daily being at a buy zone, we're starting to get bullish indications here. What's another thing that we can do? Find more actions, more detail. So what are some actions? Now I'm on the 4 hour time frame. What are some actions that we can see here? Well, for one, if you haven't already went and downloaded your cheat sheet, or not, let me not put that structure actually. Look at these candles. We're getting a lot of bullish variance. One, if anybody does not understand this, the biggest thing is wicks equal rejection. Why is that important? Because if we get wicks at a level of structure, what can that be considered? Actions, right? We're trading price action. So we've already identified the most relevant level of price being these lows, and we are now identifying further actions to support the idea from the daily time frame, being that we understand that since we're at a PRZ zone based off the daily, we have to scale down to find more actions, more detail to confirm that idea. My man, Uncle Mark, sounds like you walked away from the computer. Really? Let me make sure. That's really weird. I do hear that. That's a really weird. I'm not too sure as to why this is the case. Has it always been like that? Oh wow, no, it hasn't. Okay. Let me see if I can fix that for you guys, because I don't want you guys getting low quality. I'm over here. I'm looking at my phone. Yeah, that's really weird. I hear that. I don't know why it sounds like that. Let me see if it's still like that, we'll try to restart the stream, only because I want to make sure that you guys are getting high quality stuff and you guys can actually hear me. Yeah, that is really weird. All right. So if you guys can hear me, I'm going to go ahead and restart the stream, see if I can fix my audio real quick, so that way you guys obviously are not impacted by some really bad sounding sessions. I can actually admit that really sounds bad. Let me see something. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to restart the stream really quick. It's going to take me a few seconds. I just want to make sure that the audio is good for you guys. So if you are on this call right now, give me 5-10 minutes. I'll make sure that I fix this. I'll put an update in the Discord. If you are not part of the Discord, go into the description below, grab the link so that way you can stay updated to as when I jump back on. But let me go ahead and fix this for you guys so that way you guys are getting high quality stuff. So for the individuals that just joined, I see a lot of people just joined. My sound is sounding really bad. My mic sounds crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that